Hello, my name is Carol and I'm 39 years old. My journey with my in-laws has been fraught with challenges, similar to what many women experience, yet my story takes a distinctive turn. I want to share it in the hope of empowering others who might be dealing with similar difficulties. It all started when my husband Anthony approached me with a troubled expression saying, "I have something important to tell you." Concerned, I asked if everything was okay. He replied, "No, I'm scared. I've just discovered something terrible about my mom and sister." Anthony was referring to the ongoing mistreatment I had endured at the hands of my mother-in-law, Deborah, and my sister-in-law, Catherine. They had repeatedly sabotaged me, ruining my outfits for important occasions, tampering with my food and drinks to cause embarrassment, and even spreading malicious rumors about my successful business. Their animosity stemmed from their resentment toward me for marrying into their family. I had repeatedly voiced my concerns to Anthony, but it seemed my words fell on deaf ears until that moment. Curious about what had changed, I asked Anthony, and he showed me something shocking: security camera footage from our business venue. Anthony and I run a boutique where we sell an array of crafted items, including baby clothes and purses. It was a venture I had started and felt deeply passionate about, yet Deborah and Catherine never missed an opportunity to discourage me. Their discouragement was blatant. During one conversation, they told me, "Are you sure we should be involved in this business? It's not going to succeed, especially with your lack of expertise." And further, what she means is, "You're not capable enough to handle this business. You should just give up and focus on being a housewife or finding a regular job. Starting a business is too difficult for someone like you." These words were meant to deter me, but seeing the truth laid bare in the footage, Anthony finally understood the depth of their deceit and manipulation. He apologized for not believing me sooner. This revelation marked a turning point for me. I realized that standing up for myself was not only about confronting my in-laws, but also about affirming my capabilities and continuing to pursue what brings me joy, regardless of their attempts to stop me. My story is a testament to the strength found in perseverance and the importance of supportive partners who stand by your side when the truth unfolds. I believe their actions were driven by jealousy. There's no other explanation for their horrendous behavior. My suspicions about their mean-spirited nature were confirmed when they tried to humiliate me repeatedly. I showed my husband Anthony my ruined dress, begged him to taste my tampered food, and exposed their lies about my business, but he remained skeptical. He needed to see the evidence with his own eyes, and eventually he did. The video Anthony showed me was utterly shocking. In it, we saw two masked women, one noticeably taller than the other, vandalizing our boutique with spray paint. Anthony pointed out, "Take a closer look. Notice the lady with the necklace?" As I examined the footage more closely, I recognized Deborah's unique necklace, the one Anthony had brought her from Hawaii. It was a defining moment. Who else could it be? I thought. They look so similar. "I believe you now," Anthony finally admitted. Tears welled up in my eyes. I felt a mix of anger and hurt due to the length of time it took him to see the truth, but also relief that someone finally acknowledged my ordeal. I had hesitated to tell him about this because they were his family. It felt wrong to speak ill of them or to consider legal action for the damage they caused, but I was secretly contemplating how to address the situation. Just then, Anthony's phone rang. It was Catherine. "Speak of the devil," he muttered as he answered. After a brief conversation, he said, "So, Catherine just told me that Uncle Brian is back from his trip, and Mom wants to have a big family gathering since a lot of people are home for the summer." The idea of a family gathering sparked a mixture of feelings. It was an opportunity to confront the situation or find a way to move forward. I knew something had to change, and with Anthony finally on my side, it felt like the right time to think about our next steps carefully. This weekend, are you planning to discuss what we saw in the video? I know it's difficult for you since they're your family, but I'm ready to confront them if you think we should. I said to Anthony. He hesitated, the conflict evident in his eyes. They are my mother and sister, Carol, and that makes it tough, but I will support you however I can, he assured me. As the weekend approached, we arrived early at Gust's house, where the gathering was to be held. Uncle Brian, a beloved family figure, was returning after a long absence, and his homecoming was meant to be a joyful occasion. However, upon our arrival, I could immediately sense a shift in the atmosphere. Catherine and Deborah, who had been all smiles, suddenly displayed expressions of jealousy and disgust upon seeing us. "Oh, you two are here early," Deborah remarked with a forced smile. "Yes, Mom, we thought we'd come by early to help out, knowing how many people are expected today," Anthony responded, his tone amiable. "How sweet of you, we're happy to have the help," I chimed in, trying to keep the conversation light. As I spoke, both Catherine and Deborah shot me looks that seemed to accuse me of some unspeakable crime, their eyes narrowing slightly as if they wanted to say more but couldn't just yet. Then, in an almost theatrical display of sympathy, Catherine commented, "Oh, Carol, it's awful about your business being vandalized. I saw the damage on my way here, such a tragedy." "Dreadful," Deborah added, her voice dripping with feigned concern. Their overly cheerful demeanor and poorly concealed smirks were clear indicators of their duplicity. It was almost as if they were enjoying the situation. I caught them trying to suppress their laughter, a sight that only fueled my resolve. Yet I chose to remain calm, not wanting to escalate the situation prematurely. "I know, it's just terrible. We can't imagine who would do such a thing. It was upsetting to see something we've put so much effort into being damaged," I replied, maintaining a composed facade. For now, I decided to bide my time, waiting for the right moment to reveal what I knew. The idea of confrontation hung heavily in the air, but I was determined to handle it strategically, ensuring that when the truth came out, it would be undeniable and impactful. "Don't worry, the police will investigate this," I stated firmly, knowing that it was important to show we were taking the situation seriously. "The police? Why involve them in such a minor incident? It's probably just some kids messing around. No need to make a big deal out of it," Catherine quickly interjected, her tone dismissive. "Oh, Catherine, it's considerate of you to be concerned about these supposed troublemakers, but they still need to face the consequences for their actions. They knew exactly what they were doing," I replied, not letting her brush the issue under the rug. "I agree with Catherine," Deborah chimed in. "We all did silly things as teenagers. Let's not dwell on it. Come on, let's focus on getting everything ready for the party." I could tell they were nervous, trying to downplay the incident after probing so much about it. Anthony and I exchanged a knowing glance, then joined in to help with the party preparations. We spent the morning and early afternoon setting up, cooking, and cleaning. By 4 p.m., family members began arriving for the reunion. After we finished our tasks and had a moment to relax, Anthony pulled me aside. "I have something for you, a hidden microphone. I want you to wear it," he whispered. "Why? What's going on?" I asked, puzzled by his request. "I'm not strong enough to confront my mother or sister. I'm sorry I'm not as assertive as you might want me to be, but maybe this is better. If you expose them, you'll get all the credit. You've always been stronger than me. Wear the mic and approach them. You might uncover something and get justice. I won't stop you." I appreciated Anthony's support, even though I wished he could be more confrontational himself. With that, I put on the mic, hit record, and went to find the two troublemakers. I finally found them in the kitchen, engaged in a heated discussion. Before I entered, I paused, gathering my courage to confront whatever truth might come to light. As I pressed my ear against the door, I caught snippets of a tense conversation between Catherine and Deborah. "She's on to us, Mom. Did you see the way she looked at us?" Catherine's voice trembled with anxiety. "Stop it, Catherine. You're overreacting. She doesn't know it was us," Deborah replied, her tone dismissive yet edged with a hint of doubt. I swear, Mom, she knows everything, Catherine insisted, her worry palpable. Okay, calm down. Even if she suspects something, what can she do? Anthony loves us, and she loves Anthony. If she did find out, she'd probably tell him, and then Anthony would just brush it off, saying she's imagining things. That's what's been working for us so far, hasn't it? Deborah tried to reassure her. What do you mean? Catherine's voice was fraught with tension. Remember when we ruined her dress before her craft shop business pitch? Or when we messed with her food and drink? She told Anthony about it. There's no way she didn't share her suspicions with him, but because he loves us, he overlooked it. He'll do the same now, Deborah explained, her confidence growing as she recounted their past successes in deception. I could no longer tolerate their villainous plotting. Overwhelmed by anger and the need for justice, I burst into the room. Although I had been recording their conversation, I was worried the microphone hadn't captured enough evidence. I needed to get closer, to gather more proof against them for my case. Hey, you two, Uncle Brian will be here soon. Do you need help with anything else? I asked, feigning ignorance to their shock. Carol, you scared us, Catherine exclaimed, clutching her chest. Yes, Carol, I have a weak heart. Don't startle me like that again, Deborah added, her voice quivering slightly. Apparently not weak enough, I retorted, unable to keep my composure completely. What did you just say? Deborah asked, her eyes narrowing. Oh, it's nothing. Just that you seem pretty energetic for someone your age, I replied, my words laced with a hint of sarcasm. Energetic? How so? Deborah questioned, her curiosity piqued. Well, I could have sworn I saw you doing something quite active recently. Maybe it was a dream, I teased, hinting at my knowledge of their misdeeds, hoping to provoke a reaction that could reveal even more. I recall seeing you in black attire wearing masks, I remarked, causing them to pause momentarily as they grasped the implications of my statement. Bingo! I think you were involved in something quite serious, I continued, watching their reactions closely. What exactly are you implying? Deborah asked, her voice tense as she slowly closed the door to ensure our conversation remained private. I'm not trying to suggest anything specific, I replied calmly. Honestly, I might have also seen someone else, their face covered, participating in something illegal alongside the other person. What a shame. I do hope they catch those criminals soon. Catherine, clearly flustered, suggested, Anyway, Mom, I think we should leave now. Not so fast, Catherine. I want you both to see something, I said, pulling out my phone to show them the video footage that Anthony had shown me. Oh, you caught the vandals, Deborah remarked dismissively. Well, now that we know who they are, there's no need to look into it any further. Let's just drop the issue, Carol. Vandalism happens to other buildings too, you know. Yeah, Carol, just move on. It's not worth all this fuss, Catherine added, echoing her mother's sentiment. Ladies, I think it is a big deal, I countered firmly. I found something interesting in this video. Take a closer look. Both leaned in and zoomed in on the phone screen to see what I was pointing out. The horror and shock that washed over their faces confirmed all my suspicions. They were, indeed, the ones who had vandalized my building. Quiet, Mom. This doesn't prove anything. Who else has this necklace? Deborah tried to deflect, her voice cracking under the pressure. I can't handle this anymore. Okay, it was us, Catherine blurted out, unable to hold back any longer. Mom, she's figured it out. I don't know what you want me to say, she continued. Yes, Carol, we did it. We damaged your business, but what are you going to do about it? Deborah challenged, her tone defiant. Yeah, Carol, there's nothing you can do in this situation. We know that Anthony cares more about us than he does about you. Even if you try to take action, he won't punish us because he loves us, Catherine added confidently. He really does love you guys, and he probably won't do anything, I acknowledged. But sweetie, why do you think I won't do anything? Do you think I'm afraid of you? You messed with my business, which is like my child. I won't let you off the hook. In a swift move, Deborah and Catherine both tried to grab the phone from me. desperate to erase any evidence of their wrongdoing. Thankfully, I was quicker and managed to dodge their grasp. "Come back here, you foolish girl," Deborah shouted after me. "Even if you grab the phone, the data is already backed up, so there's no point in fighting me. Unless, of course, you want to worsen your already weak heart." "Don't you dare provoke my mom," Catherine chimed in, her voice rising with anger. "Do you think you're funny? Do you think you're clever? Hand over the data now or else." "Or else what? What will you do?" I taunted, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "I'll hurt you in ways you never imagined," Catherine threatened. "Oh, I'm shaking in my boots. Please don't hurt me," I replied sarcastically, my voice dripping with mockery. We continued our dance around the kitchen until I finally made it to the door and flung it open. It was a stroke of luck that Anthony was standing right outside. "Help! Your mom and sister are acting crazy," I exclaimed as I stepped out, breathing heavily from the chase. "I came to tell you that Uncle Brian is here. What's happening?" Anthony asked, confusion etched across his face. "I'll tell you what's happening," Deborah retorted sharply. "Your wife is falsely accusing us of damaging her business, and she's threatening us." "That's not true," I interjected quickly. "Tell them, Anthony." There was a moment of tense silence. Anthony looked visibly upset, his features contorted as he struggled to find the right words. "I know you're not used to arguing with your mom and sister, or arguing at all for that matter," I urged him, "but I need you to stand up for me, your wife, right now, please." The silence lingered, and Anthony looked dejected, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. I felt a pang of disappointment, but Deborah seized the moment to twist the knife. "You see, honey, Anthony will always side with us, not you. He loves us more." "That's not fair," Anthony finally spoke, his voice filled with emotion. "I love you all equally. You're all important to me, which makes it tough to decide." "Why not choose honesty?" I pressed, my voice steady. "We both know it. You're the one who showed me the footage." "Wait, Anthony, why would you do that?" Deborah asked, her voice laced with disbelief. "Because it's my business, too," Anthony responded firmly, his resolve strengthening. "And what you did was wrong, not just this incident." In a tense situation, Anthony pleaded with his mother and sister, his voice filled with urgency. "But all the other times you've hurt my wife. You need to stop. Please, we'll forgive you." "Speak for yourself," I countered firmly, still fuming from their relentless actions. "I'm still going to press charges." "Not while I'm here," Deborah retorted sharply. Just then, Uncle Brian, our respected guest of honor, walked into the room. His expression was a mix of happiness and concern, noticing the tension among us while everyone else was eagerly anticipating the start of the celebration. "Oh, Brian, my dear, it's wonderful to see you. You look great. Yes, we'll start the celebration soon. Let me take you to your special seat. Tell me all about your trip," Deborah said, trying to shift the focus away from the brewing storm. "We're not done with you, Carol. If you try anything, I promise we'll make sure Anthony divorces you," Catherine threatened, her words sharp and malicious. "Why do you talk to Anthony like he's a child? He's a grown man who can make his own choices. He wouldn't divorce me just because you tell him to, right, honey?" I looked at Anthony, seeking his support. Anthony hesitated, his confidence wavering under the intense pressure. He dropped his head, unable to meet my gaze. Overwhelmed by the situation and feeling utterly betrayed, I stormed off angrily and made my way to the large dining table, where about 42 people were already seated. Trying to remain composed, I sat down, seething silently. Soon after, Anthony and Catherine joined me at the table, but I kept to myself, too angry to engage, even though Anthony seemed like he wanted to say something. Eventually, Deborah and Uncle Brian arrived, and despite the earlier discomfort, the celebration began. As we ate, my anger continued to simmer, and I could no longer contain it. "Attention, everyone," I announced, standing up abruptly. I have something important to say. There are two people here who have always hated me, who tried to make my life miserable. Some of you might already know, but I'll make sure you all understand. I then played the recording of our earlier argument for everyone to hear. The room filled with gasps of shock and disbelief as people listened to the incriminating words. Catherine and Deborah sat frozen in their seats, quickly denying everything and accusing me of lying. The dinner turned chaotic. I yelled at Deborah and Catherine, and they yelled back while the other adults at the table tried to make sense of the unfolding drama. Anthony, as usual, remained silent, absorbed in his turmoil, until the distant sound of sirens filled the air. Then, suddenly, the room fell silent. The police were on their way to the house. "What have you done, you wretch? I'll get you for this," Deborah hissed venomously at me. "I didn't do anything," I responded calmly. "Anthony did. He's the one who called the police." Catherine, stunned, turned to Anthony. "You need to face the consequences for what you've done," he told her firmly. "I called the police on you, and they have a warrant for your arrest. I secretly recorded our conversation, the one Carol played for everyone." Anthony continued, his voice growing stronger. "We've all seen how Mom and Catherine treat Carol, but none of us said anything, especially me. Carol is my wife, and from now on, I'm standing by her side because she's been proven right. Mom, Catherine, please cooperate." At that moment, the police entered the house and arrested Deborah, who cursed and yelled as she was taken away. Catherine tried to flee, but was quickly apprehended by the officers. Both women were embarrassed as they were led out of the house, throwing accusatory glares at me and calling Anthony a traitor. After Catherine and Deborah were taken away, the night continued, albeit a bit awkwardly. We all opened up about how toxic they had been. Even Uncle Brian joked, "I'd rather be in prison than be around them." We laughed and managed to enjoy the rest of the family reunion without them. Throughout the night, some family members received calls from the local jail, presumably from Catherine and Deborah. Some answered and told them bluntly that they needed to learn a lesson. Others pretended the network was down, and many simply refused to take the calls. Anthony and I grew closer after he supported me by calling the police. Catherine and Deborah paid a fine for the damages and were soon out of jail, but their egos had taken a significant hit. Now, when we see them, they look ashamed and fearful instead of jealous and disgusted, a change that I found particularly fitting. Revenge has never felt as deeply gratifying as it does in this moment.